friends to my kitchen. Today is gonna be rainy day and it's day for soup day. I made some bread and I figure I'll make some soup. And I'm making a soup that I haven't eaten this soup since I left Azores. And the reason I never made it was because we ate it every single day. My mom would make this in these big pots and it would last us all week. So we would have this soup every single day. Now I know why we had this soup. It was very basic and it had enough nutrients. It's called Sopa De Azedo. And I think the reason they call Sopa De Azedo is because people used to put vinegar in the soup and it kind of had that acid flavor. Of course, mine I'm changing a little bit, but I remember some of this stuff my mom used to do it too. So in here I have, this is the bone, I had it in a freezer, bone from the shoulder or the pork shoulder. Sometimes it comes with the bone and I saved the bone for this. So I'm gonna add that to my soup. This is beans. I had white beans, but I remember my mom making it was with pinto beans. She would soak it the night before and then add the beans. So I'm gonna add, there's about 2 cups of beans in here. Use whatever beans you like. In here I have onion, and we're gonna puree all this. I'm doing this in my food process. I mean in my instant pot because it'll be faster, but we'll blend all this. And then I'm gonna add some sweet potatoes. I have some that it's chunks, and then I have other ones that will do it, and it almost kind of looks like a little boiled dinner. So add this to it. I'm gonna add garlic. There's a tablespoon of garlic, and then there's 8 cups of water. And I'm gonna put this, and I'm gonna put a little bit of salt. Just because I want all those flavors already. So a good 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay, and then another thing that I remember my mom, I think was the time where we had the pumpkins. My dad used to grow pumpkins in between the corn, and so my sister gave me a pumpkin. I roasted this one already, so I'm gonna add that pumpkin also, and then I'm gonna add 2 links of chorizo, my chorizo caseiro that I made. So I'm gonna let all that cooked. I'm gonna put this for 7 minutes. Those beans will cook for 7 minutes. That's how fast it is. So I'm gonna let this cook here for 7 minutes, and then when I come back, I'll show you what's next. Okay friends, it's been 7 minutes and my beans are done. So now I'm gonna take the chorizo and then the meat. The meat probably needs a little bit more, but we're gonna put all this back so it will cook. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna puree all this other stuff. I'm gonna puree all the other stuff on my blender, and then we put everything back. And you want to make it into a puree. And we used to do this every week. We would make this soup. And now I know why my mom would make it. Now I know why my mom would make this soup. Because all those beans, all that nutrients in that, and it would fill you. So you would eat the second course, you wouldn't need very much because we are already full with with the soup. So we would have a bowl of soup, and then whatever was that she made for dinner, we would go and have that. So I'm gonna blend all this, and then I'll come back. Okay, friends, I'm in my last batch of pureeing my beans. So then what I do, I put it back into the pot. I'm gonna add more water to it. And what I do is I'm gonna add more water to it. So now at this point you add more water to whatever consistency you want. I don't want it too thin, but I don't want it too thick. So it's perfect. This is what we used to do to use instead of the blender. We used to use this. It would take us forever. That's why I hated that soup, because it took so long to make it. Anyway, so now into this, I have half a cabbage. I'm gonna add to it. I have 2 carrots chopped. And then I have about 4 potatoes. And you don't want the potatoes too thin. You want big chunks of potatoes. And you know the funny thing, there's things that happen when you're a kid that you just never forget, and why you keep some memories and some you don't. Well, when I was planning to make this soup, I remember this memory that comes to me was, you know, when I was probably 13 and I was learning how to do it. I remember my mom saying, this is one soup, you do not need to cut the potatoes in small pieces. Why did I retain that information? I have no clue. But that was one thing that I remember my mom telling me, was you don't need it. So now those potatoes that I have, I'm gonna add them back on in here. And the meat goes back in, and that's chorizo. And now we go back and cook all this. This pot is full, more than what I planned. So I'm just gonna let this cook maybe for about 4 minutes, because it's just more for to cook those vegetables, and that doesn't take long. So I'm gonna cover and cook for 4 minutes, and then it'll be done, and I'll show you. Okay, friends, my soup is done, and I'm gonna take the potatoes. So it cooked for 5 minutes. Everything is cooked. That's why I love this Instant Pot. In no time you have dinner on a table. I'm gonna take that bone. Now, my mom used to make, like I said, every week, but she would not always put the sweet potatoes or the pumpkin. Sometimes it was just beans and the vegetables, and that was it. She would do everything else, but sometimes if she had sweet potatoes, because it depended the time. Okay. I did not put no salt, so I'm gonna taste for salt. And then the other thing that it goes is my mom put it with macaroni, but I'm gonna take some for me to try before I put the macaroni. Need salt. Oh my goodness. This is so good. I put 2 teaspoons of salt, and we'll see how it goes. funny, those things that you thought as a kid, oh, I'm so tired of it. And now you find yourself craving those things. And we would eat this with cornbread. But I'm gonna drop this macaroni and it'll cook in no time. I'm gonna let this sit here for about 15 minutes and the macaroni will be cooked. Here, friends, my soup is done. And it looks so good. I cut that meat into pieces and I put it back in there so it can finish cooking. It still has a little pink. But here I have my miniature boiled dinner. See, you can add anything and then you make 2 meals out of this. Now, this is where the soup comes as Sopa De Azedo. We put a little bit of vinegar. And I remember my parents used to put vinegar almost everything. A lot of vinegar. And here, it's very hot. Very satisfying. Oh my gosh. I'm 13 all over again. This is so good. And like I said, it took me 37 years to make it because we were so tired of this soup. And look how delicious this is. And you can add more vegetables. But I didn't want to add no more because this is going to be rich. And see what I mean? It's all those beans. So we were eating beans every single day. Look at this. That with a piece of cornbread, delicious. You gotta try this. If you're a soup person, you must try this soup. It is so delicious, so economical, and it can feed an army. As you can see, it make this is a big pot. Well, my in-law's gonna have soup, my sister's gonna have soup, my sister-in-law's gonna have it, so I'm gonna feed everybody. But here's things that when we were growing up, we didn't care for. We didn't appreciate. And now we go back and we love it. And when we do, all those memories come back. And this is why I decided to do these videos. Because not only so much from my memories, but memories for my kids down the road. You know, none of us gonna stay here. And some of these recipes, they're gonna be gone. I don't have a daughter that, you know, can pass it. Maybe I'll have a granddaughter that will have interest in knowing this. But other than that, but my boys, they like to cook and they can cook. So I figure, well, if I do this, that's someday they can do for their families. But it's the memories that bring it back, you know, and this is the good thing that it came out of this videos and this YouTube thing, because doing all this, it brings memories not only to me, but to you as well. These are all memories of us growing up. And you know, there's always a kid, no matter how old you are, there is always that kid in you that remembers a certain recipe, a certain thing. And you sometimes, it's like sometimes I can picture myself doing all this, seeing my sisters, my mom doing all this. We did this in a wood oven. So we had to start the wood first, and then we would put the big pot, terracotta, it's like a cast iron pot. And it was huge. I mean, it was a cauldron, what they call it now. And fill up with beans and cook the beans. Then you have to grind the beans and then make all this. So it's the process, but it's those memories that bring it back. So anyway, so if you like soup and you want to try this, this is very simple. Just do accordingly to your family, and then whatever flavors you like. There's no wrong way, right way. Like I said, my mom not always put sweet potato, not always put pumpkin. It's whenever was available. So you don't have to. And I use white beans because that's what I had, but my mom used to use pinto beans. So anyway, so give it a try. Get me some feedback. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down if you don't like it. I'm okay with it. But give it a try, and until next time, let's get cooking. Have a good day.